And now we're joined by vintage head boys basketball coach Ben Gongora. Ben, thank you for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Ben, first of all, I think the most logical place to start here is how have you guys navigated COVID-19 and the pandemic as you get started with this new season?
Well, going back a year ago, obviously no one saw this coming. And we had just wrapped up our awards banquet on a Monday and celebrated our league championship, gave out our awards. And literally that Thursday following, the world came to a halt. Everything got shut down. At that point, I was working on open gym schedule. I was working on summer league. I was working on summer tournaments, and it just literally evaporated overnight. And I had no idea how long it was going to last. The first thing we did is we just kind of went to a group text, and I connected with the players. I had some players that were in spring sports and they were in hold, and they didn't know if baseball was going to return or if they were going to have a season or not. And so I kind of waited to get a verdict on that. And once that was finally shut down for the year, then we just started doing things like workout of the day. And I would send out workouts to the players probably about 4 days a week. And it was tough. Some players weren't doing their workouts. I didn't have any leverage. I didn't have any game time or minutes to hold over them. Some of them really struggled mentally. And so I'd reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? I didn't get your mile time. I didn't get your feedback. And some kids were just, I don't know, coach. I don't know. I just didn't do it. I'd say, well, what did you do? I say, I don't know. I just kind of sat on my bed. I said, well, what time did you go to bed? And they'd say, I don't know, like 2 a.m. I go, 2 a.m. When did you get up? I don't know, like noon. And so they were really in a funk for a long time. And, I didn't yell at them. I'd just say, okay, well, tomorrow's a new day. Let's just see if we can do the workout tomorrow. And they'd say, all right, coach, I'll try. And so little by little, I was able to bring some of those players that were having difficulty back into the fold. But then it died out. They kind of got fatigued of my daily or weekly. We did about 4 workouts a week. Some of them included 2-mile runs, 3-mile runs, 30-minute runs with burpees and just things that they could do at home. And they kind of got fatigued of that. So we kind of shut that down at the end of July. And we didn't do anything. And then we picked things up back at the end of September.
Wow. It's been like every coach I've talked to, it's been a long journey to get back. So now obviously you guys are in season. What's the testing sort of like right now? How's that working for you guys? I know football's been tested and they just ended yesterday. They were tested on Wednesday. What does it look like for basketball?
Well, it's uncomfortable. The kids don't like it. They got to shove an object up their nose pretty far, and they snicker and they giggle, and then their eyes water. And I got to sit there and say, come on, we got to do it. It's self-administered, but it's being, of course, monitored by the professional testing coordinator. I forget the company that they're using, but it's weekly. I just got my test yesterday. I've been fully vaccinated. My coaches have been fully vaccinated. But yeah, we just wrapped up our second round of testing yesterday, and any player that is going to participate must be tested and they must get a negative result back.
Wow, that's crazy. So you kind of mentioned your coaches there. Obviously Brett Wedding is back with you, and then you also brought on Rapicon this year. Talk a little about the addition of Rapicon and also having Brett Wedding back.
Yeah, so I'll clarify that right now the staff is Brett Wedding. Rapicon's not actually on staff. He's not a staff coach. Brett Wedding, who's a former player of mine, I coached him. I was his JV coach many, many moons ago at Napa High, and I have a great relationship with him. And so I'm really happy to have him back. And then I have Chuck Johnson back at head coach of the junior varsity team. And then the coaches that I'm most excited for, no disrespect to Coach Wedding or Coach Johnson, is, we had to do a little pivot. Drew Willems, our freshman coach, math teacher on campus, who I very much appreciate. He did a solid job for the last few years. He had to take just a little pause COVID's brought a lot of challenges to families, and so it was best for him to take a pause. He had some personal things he had to work out, which I 100% support. And so I turned to some vintage alum. Anybody that's followed vintage basketball the last few years, we got a coach Jared Rendon, and Josh Coe, VVAL champion from last year. So those guys just wrapped up their first week of practice, and I'm exhausted because I've been doing double duty. I go to the varsity practice, then I go over and help them out with the freshmen. But that's the staff, and I'm really excited to have those guys on board.
That's awesome, because Jared, I've interviewed him before, and Josh, obviously, he played a huge part in your championship team last year, so that's great. So now as we pivot to the schedule, you guys obviously played your first game against American Canyon on Thursday that I was at. But let's talk a little bit about like playing pretty much a league only schedule. What is that? How's that like for you guys? We saw last year how the margin for error was so tiny. We saw it again like Thursday. So talk about playing a league only schedule.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate. I am able to get 4 additional games. Luckily, with relationships, there's kind of some things, a coaching fraternity. And when you're able to establish respect for other coaches, they really help each other out. So between Coach Johnson, Coach Wedding, and myself, we have a pretty nice coaching network. And so we reached out to the coaches that we know and familiar with. So we're actually going to go play Windsor. At Windsor, we added them. We're going to Cardinal Newman, which is going to be a big test at Cardinal Newman. So that's going to be a triple header. So our freshmen are going to get to participate in that one. We're going to Fairfield. Good old Coach Eddie. We're going to go play the Falcons at Fairfield. And then our last non-league game is Memorial Day weekend, Concord High. So an East Bay school. So we do have some non-league games. Being just a league-only schedule, it will be interesting because it's COVID, and I think one game already got delayed. I don't know if that game's going to be rescheduled or if that game is just canceled or it's a forfeit. I don't know the logistics, but it may happen to us. I pray it doesn't, but it is only a league schedule. I'm just grateful we're playing, and I'm just happy for the kids that we even have something for them.
Speaking of the kids, we saw that you really have a good nucleus of guys returning from last season. Everett Mitchell, Josh McCormick, and now, as you mentioned to me last Thursday, you get your captain back, Logan Nothman. What does that mean to have those guys returning back to your team?
Oh man, we just wrapped up practice today with Logan, night and day, the whole energy. He is our quarterback, he is our leader, he is our point guard. Just his presence alone increased the intensity of practice to have him back out there. I love the kid. I've known him since 5th grade. He's a gym rat. He loves hoops, and unfortunately, some of these kids, that are multi-sport athletes, such as Logan, he had to make a very, very tough choice between baseball and basketball, and he picked basketball, which I'm grateful for. Some other kids pick baseball, which I completely support. And I'm happy with the guys we have. We also have Owen back.
Yes.
Schneibly, a returner. So we do have a great nucleus. These kids have been together physically in person since September. So even though COVID's been happening, they took it upon themselves to enroll in a private gym. I was not there. I did not do it. This was led by John Cortese and his staff, Coach Kane, and the others there. And so they've been hitting the weights. Of course, John Cortese doesn't have a basketball hoop there. There's no basketball there, but they were just lifting weights, which is not conditioning. So that's why we were a little winded against American Canyon. But just having Logan's presence, he was there in the weight room at CTS in the beginning. Then he wanted to play football just because he didn't know if we were going to have a basketball season or not. He just wanted to compete. And then having him back, it's just great. It's very refreshing.
And then obviously Josh and Everett, they're guys that are also nice to have back too, I assume.
Yeah, I think Logan playing football, in all honesty, allowed kind of Josh McCormick to establish himself as a leader a little, to kind of find his voice. The one that has matured the most has been Owen. Owen has really, really come on as a leader, and he just kind of self-nominated or nominated himself to be the defensive captain or the defensive leader. So it's been great that Logan went and did his thing with football, had a ton of success out there, and we didn't skip a beat. You know, this actually gave some other kids to find their voice.
And then talk about the juniors or sophomores that you guys have on the team. I know Cole Capitani is one of them. He impressed the heck out of me on Thursday night. Talk about the kids that just came up this year from JV.
Yeah, again, all these kids have been working out together since September, which I'm so proud. I couldn't be more proud of them, and so appreciative that you know, John Cortese and CTS was able to provide this. We've been supported by other gyms in town as well. Franco Fitness and Coach Franco has been a big proponent of our basketball program, and I'm so appreciative of what he's done. In this case, he's just too darn successful. He didn't have capacity. Too many kids, too many people go to him. So as do my own kids, they personally go to him as well. But the juniors, yeah, Cole Capitani has gotten much, much stronger from last season. What we're working on right now is being more assertive and aggressiveness. And, you know, we just want him to be a ball hawk, just go after it wherever it is. So he is transitioning right now from JV to varsity, where JV, he could rely more on his height, and varsity, because of the athleticism and the size, he can't solely depend on his height. He's going to have to develop some fight and aggressiveness and physicality and go for the ball more. We also have Noah Cockrell, who you know, was the biggest surprise of Thursday's game. You know, we haven't gone live really, and leading up to that, we only had 3 days of practice. We did a few conditioning sessions before, but we didn't do anything. We didn't go 5-on. We didn't even practice really. We were just in a gym conditioning, and even our conditioning was more like defensive slides. So we would, you know, wake up the muscles that they haven't used. But Thursday was the first time we went full court in the game. And Noah Cockrell, I had no idea. He was the surprise of the night. So he gets the game ball if we did something like that. And then we have Anthony Otaro and Matty Estrada. Those are 2 guards that are going to have to fight for minutes. You know, Logan Nothman does not like giving up minutes.
No.
He doesn't want to give up minutes, and neither do any of the seniors. But we have Jackson Corley. He's coming out. He's a wiry guy. He's got a nice stroke. He's a little behind on defense, so he's got to learn some defensive principles, and we're working through that. And we have Everett's little brother, Daniel Dito Mitchell. He's out there. He's got a nice outside shot. And then we got Bryce Powers, who's a football player. So I'm waiting for him to come out. As we know, obviously, Vintage wrapped up an exceptional VVAL season last night.
Yeah, interesting. The football guys are coming back. As a coach, I'm sure you're happy that they've already sort of been playing. What's your thoughts? I mean, I'm sure you're happy that they just won a VVAL title, but now they got to get in basketball shape, right? I mean, it's completely different shapes, and you don't have much time to do that.
No, and this is COVID, right? I'm just grateful that these kids get to play. I've been in contact with Bryce throughout his football season, you know, texting him, checking in. I've been in touch with Logan, had numerous conversations with him. He actually called me before he went out for football, or he decided. We had about a half-hour chat about it. He got my endorsement, but he called to pick my brain and see what my thoughts were. And so, look, I'm a fan of the multi-sport athlete, and I'm grateful to be a Vintage and work with other coaches who are willing to share their athletes. You know, in a normal year with baseball, I'd be able to work with Coach Anderson and Coach Smith and be able to say, hey, you know, here's my basketball players. You know, in the fall, you know, they would go to Rich for a couple days a week. They'd come to me for a couple days a week. Obviously now we don't have that opportunity, but I do like multi-sport athletes. I do like players that play multiple sports. So given that football just ended and we're going, yeah, there's no rest. And every single week between now and June 1st, we have 2 or 3 games a week. So it's going to be a sprint.
That's crazy. So next I kind of want to check scheme wise. The thing that I noticed with you guys is you're always defense and rebounding. After that, it's like offense will be what it is, but it seems like you guys are just always stout defensively. Is that something that you guys are trying to pound into the kids again this year?
Well, you kind of do what you know. So if we had titles like football, I would be the defensive coordinator and Coach Wedding would be the offensive coordinator. So defense is what I know. That's what I grasped to when I played basketball. I couldn't score to save my life. I really couldn't even play that well, but I hustled. And so we just believe in setting the tone with defense. We kind of want to play with the chip on our shoulder and we want to dive on the floor. And as I tell the kids, we want bodies flying everywhere. And I think it shows. I think if you come and watch us play, I think you see that. I think we're a fun team to watch. And so, yeah, we have about 6 or 7 different defensive schemes because of COVID, because we've literally only had our 4th practice today. We only have about 3 of those schemes in, and they're not really well. We have to tighten them up a lot. But this is COVID. My expectations are really just focused on maximum effort and positive attitude. In terms of execution, I know we're going to be rusty. I know we're going to be making mental mistakes and missing assignments. But if we can just stay positive and work hard, I think we'll be able to weather a lot of storms.
And my last question for you here is just talk about having a season at all. I mean, basketball was where we saw Rudy Gobert test positive, and that was sort of where everything went downhill. And then we kind of
Yeah.
it's like an indoor sport, like it's not COVID safe. And now the fact that it's happening, I think that says a lot. Like, talk about the fact that you're getting to have a season.
Yeah, I cried the first time I was in the gym with the kids. I was kind of in disbelief, and I yelled out, "Is this really happening?" And the first time we were in just to do some conditioning drills, we had to wear masks, and even though the kids were wearing masks, you could still see that they were smiling. They were just so happy to be in there, and it's just been a really tough time for a lot of these kids mentally. They found themselves in dark places that psychologically they never knew was even possible. Depression and things like that, just isolation, just non-movement, right? Just stationary, really taking 20 steps a day, literally from their bed to the fridge to the bathroom to their bed. And that was their 24 hours. And so to be back in a gym and to let these kids run, and look, I have no idea where we're going to fall. Not that I'm not competitive, because I'm ultra competitive. My goal is to go 1-0 each game. I'll evaluate the season at the end of the season. There's a lot of great coaches in this league. We got a brand new coach right down the street at Napa High. I'm sure, rookie coach coming in. I believe it's his first ever head coaching job. Oh, I imagine he's got a lot of fire in his belly. So he's going to bring an energy, and those kids are going to be ready to go. So I'm sure he's going to have Napa High roaring, ready to go. We got Bowles, just a very highly respected coach. He's been around forever at Sonoma. It's going to be really competitive. I do not think there's going to be any gimmies, and always expecting a dogfight with every opponent we're going to be playing in league.
So, and then I thought that was my last question, but I just realized one more. So you guys are playing a season here in April. Have you even thought about the turnaround into summer and then back into the new season again? Like,
I haven't thought about the turnaround, but it's funny because my wife, she was asking me about attire, and I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not wearing it. I was sweating in the gym at her game on Thursday, so I wouldn't be surprised if come mid to late May, I may be coaching in shorts. Not that I want the kids to have a summer league feel, but it's going to feel very different playing a league game like it does now in April and May, when it's still light out when we leave the gym. When you're walking out of the gym at 8 o'clock at night, there's still going to be some daylight. So that's going to take a little getting used to. In terms of summer, I'm already trying to get some summer leagues, some tournaments. I've already started working on next season. We got a few games. We're going to welcome Powerhouse, East Bay Powerhouse Northgate's going to be coming to our place. So that's going to be a great test. Kyle, Coach Wedding and I, we're not looking to schedule a preseason that are cupcakes or we're going to have a false sense of success. I don't respectfully not demeaning any team, but we don't want to play a Division 5 team and get a W and walk into league, undefeated, but we really haven't been tested. So we're going back to Doherty Valley with Mike Hansen and his tournament that he runs down there. He's been the head coach of Doherty Valley since that school started. And there's going to be some major competition there. Last year when we went, it was Folsom High, it was Davis High.
Wow.
There was a school that we struggled with from Reno, and of course Doherty Valley was state ranked. So we're going there again. If we come out 0-3, I'm fine with that, but we're going to get better for league. And the whole point for us is always to prepare for league.
Well, that's good that you're thinking ahead to next season. And once again, Ben, thank you very much. This has been great. I will see you at a game soon.
Hey, Kyle, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the support. I love Vintage. I love coaching. I love the support of so many parents that have reached out to me whose kids are in, starting middle school, and they're saying, hey, they want to come to Vintage and they want to play sports at Vintage. And what are you guys doing this summer? And what are you doing next year? And I just love the momentum that we have right now. And in part, I thank you for that because you're a great promoter of what we do.
Hey, thank you very much.